and if we have issues, like embracing, I embrace being uncomfortable, but I don't like it. I embrace change, but I don't like
Which
it.
I so respect about you, because you just like you do it like so courageously, and that is what's needed. We do need to be courageous, because just as he said, he doesn't like it, but he does it anyways. He knows it's good for him. So
because also I have it's probably about 50-50 at this point, but I have a lot of years of not really feeling what I was feeling and trying to repress it down.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that it's not as much as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, but I still have the knee-jerk reaction to go to that default of, oh, that doesn't bother me. And just stuffing it in. And when you're just taking a bunch of little things and then all of a sudden you keep on stuffing it in, then all of a sudden you got a shitload of, what the fuck is this that I gotta fucking unwind?
Right. Totally.
So I wanted to talk about, and I've probably brought this up on many occasions, is I have this guy that I've mentored. I think he's in his early 30s now, but he at one point he's like asked me, how do I listen? You're a good listener, how do you listen? And I really thought that was like, I mean, I was a little arrogant at the time, and I was like, listen, you just listen. Then I thought about it, I contemplated, and I was like, oh, I am a good listener. Like, how do I do it?
Yeah.
And I had known some of the steps, and a lot of times I do this on autopilot. So what I do is I call this listening like a Jedi. So as I'm talking to somebody, I feel their energy coming into my heart. And I believe that your heart is the serious bullshit detector. Sometimes people say shit, and the heart just locks up, and I was like, and I don't even want to listen to them. And when I say I don't want to listen to them, the conversation's over, because I'm not really talking to them at any level, because they're not being authentic in any level. If they're gonna lie to me, then all of a sudden it's just like, I was like, I don't even want to bring that information in. And a lot of times it's me having to be proactive in order to keep the conversation going. I'd listen to them if they kept on talking, but I'm not going to tell them to shut up at that point. But I would stop asking questions. But going back to that, I feel the energy stuff coming in, and then I asked I asked my intuition. I was like, okay, why are we supposed to meet each other? What am I supposed to learn from them? What are they supposed to learn from me? And then I kind of like feel that, and then I let that still small voice guide the conversation. And don't force it. Sometimes I know in the first few seconds of what I'm supposed to learn from them, or they're supposed to learn from me. But I let it like unfold. Let it unfold and come together. So a lot of people just aren't listening, not even only at that level, just listening to a higher level, to bring that in, because it's so important. And you understand this, and in my card it says mind stretcher. I'm not trying to persuade them to follow the information and facts that I have. I want to help them with consent, but not necessarily direct consent that I'm asking them specifically. But I'll ask if you want my advice. I don't do it all the time. It's like, hey, you want some advice, to a certain extent. But I'm asking that information, and then I'm because I like the sound of my voice. I don't love it. I can be quiet. I like being silent probably more than talking. Not all the time, but most of the time I like being silent. So going back to the situation is just being able to feel what they're going on and giving their information with consent, to give them some information to be a better person. And I notice a lot of times, oh, you're a Trump supporter, or you're this and everything. If you go like that, then everything that the person says is just going to sound ridiculous. And a lot of times they have people go up to the people on the street, say it's a Democrat, and they go up to the person on the street and they say, hey, Trump's doing this, and it's a Democrat policy. And they're like, what do you think of this? And then all of a sudden the person, oh, that's horrible and everything. They just don't like it because Trump didn't like it. Not because it was a fit for their belief.
Right.
And we could all get sucked into that. I mean, there's evidence of what's it called when the appraisers go into houses, and if there's and I don't know to what extent, I don't know how deep this is, but there is evidence of if somebody has black pictures in the house opposed to a white family in the house, that changes the value of the property for the appraiser.
Interesting.
And I don't know how far this goes. But I mean, people know how they set up. I mean, there's the curb appeal and the set up the house, and appraisers are human to a certain extent. And I'm not even saying that appraisers are racist to a fact, because that, I mean, if I was selling a house and somebody told me that you might want to take these pictures out to that, it's going to change the value of the house 10%. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to be a little upset. How I move in the world, otherwise, I ain't moving. I ain't changing shit for that stuff. Like, when it comes to that, but like something like that, I'm not going to be around, and all of a sudden we just had to take some pictures out of the house. Like, I'm fine with that. But it wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be easy. So, what do you want to say? I feel like I'm just talking.
That's all good. I'm listening. I'm practicing what you're talking about. Yeah, I wanna add to that, because you articulated some of the qualities of listening really well, and I just want to add that for me, when I think about listening, there are like a few different components. So the first one is it has to do with observing, right? Observation. So that includes things like being aware of our senses, right? Like, how is my body feeling? Am I in a comfortable position? What is their body language telling me? What could that be communicating to me beyond the words, right? And then presence. Most people are listening to respond. They're already formulating in their head what they want to say because they have something to say, right? And that then completely inhibits their ability to actually listen, because they're not really observing, they're not being present, and they're not taking in all of those nuances. And then the third is to consider listening as an art of the heart, much like what you said. Because if we are listening from a heart-centered place, we're not listening so that our ego understands, but we're listening to feel its importance in the context of the relationship, like whatever it is. Because communication at the end of the day is a tool for relationships, for bonds, to share meaning. Well, why do we need to share meaning? Like, what's the value of that? It's all about relationships. It's all about that aspect of our life. So if we're not considering those pieces, there's a lot more work that can be done in the realm of listening, for sure. Yeah. If we don't listen, then we're also not going to be able to learn a new perspective. If we're just focusing on our own thoughts, we're only focusing on our own thoughts. It leaves little room to actually receive something new from that person.